So welcome back to the 9th installment of Hip Trek and the animated series.
There, 9.
So I knew this was obviously a children's show. What do you know?
Oh, the animated series?
The animated series, yeah.
Yeah.
But for some reason it just hit me tonight that as far as like the storylines, because sometimes I get frustrated with, well, why didn't you just do this? You know, or why didn't you just think like an adult? And I'm like, and then I have to remember, you know,
it's for kids.
It is for kids, you know, they can't really complicate things too much.
Right. Or be too suggestive with things.
Yeah. So, what was the episode this week called?
Season 1, Episode 9, Once Upon a Planet. Basically, it was a vacation planet that was set up for people to come and have some rest and relaxation on.
Kind of like Ryza.
Yeah, that's what it most closely resembled in my mind's eye.
Yeah. Except for the fact that they talked about the last time they were there, Bones and Sulu, that they saw a white rabbit.
Right.
And then Bones talked about how, you know, it was like the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, and all of a sudden, there it was again.
Right. Yeah, whatever your heart desires and whatever you think, it's there for you. But this time around when they visited, they were noticing that the things that were being created was trying to harm them. So they all made it back up to the ship. It was just Uhura, the doctor, and Sulu.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. McCoy and Sulu both made it back up to the ship, but Uhura was captured by the computers of this place.
Yeah, and someone from the Enterprise, right before it happened, was emergency transport, and Uhura grabs her communicator. She's kind of looking around. Enterprise, what's the hurry?
Yeah, and then she got captured. So basically this planet had been created and had a caretaker, but the caretaker had died and the computer was running things. So the computer, it was kind of funny because he wanted to basically steal the Enterprise so that he could go out and reunite with his brother computers.
Yes, because computers were obviously, he had decided, more superior
than humans.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it was an interesting episode. We got to see more interaction with crew members of the Enterprise we necessarily haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Maress, the cat character that purrs, who was voiced by
Majel
Barrett Roddenberry. Yeah, she had her sultry purr voice on. It was kind of interesting.
So strange.
Very strange. It reminded me of, you know, the cat character in the Hunger Games.
The cat character in the Hunger Games.
In the last book in the last movie, she was the one that snuck them all into the city. And she had cosmetic surgery in the Capitol to alter her appearance to look like a cheetah or a leopard.
Oh, yeah.
That's who this character on Star Trek reminded me of.
And Eric's, of course, we saw Eric's again, and we may have talked about it before, but I didn't remember that, you know, we know he has 3 arms.
Right. He has 3 legs, too.
And one protrudes from his hindquarters.
Yes, which it's very odd looking.
Because they show him from the back. It's quite funny.
But yeah, it was once they basically had to, what's the good word I'm looking for? They had to debate the computer and try to get them to see their way, which we both noticed. This computer was interacting with Uhura the whole time. And so she's trying to talk some sense into it, basically. No, you're not talking to me. Redundant. You're being redundant. Just like basically brushing off everything she said. Well, then, of course, once the captain and Spock and the doctor all get there, then he wants to reason with the captain. But
immediately.
Immediately, yeah.
Just, you know, explain, elaborate. You know, and like you said, redundant with Uhura.
Right. Well, the computer was looking at it like a slave an owner and a slave situation. Like he was thinking that all of the people on the Enterprise that the Enterprise was a master, and the people on board it were her slaves.
Yeah, the ship itself.
Right. So he didn't realize, and well, Spock had to explain it to him that men and machines work together, and even Uhura came in, and he actually listened to her at this point, where she was talking about serving others. There's no shame in serving others if that's what you choose to do. It's just you have to find your place in the world and stick with it.
Right.
And do what you know how to do best.
Did you notice when Bones and Spock and the captain came down to find and rescue Uhura, they were walking around, before they got lured and trapped by the computer, when Bones walked up to that big house. It looked like a big plantation house.
Right.
And I just thought that I jotted that down because it just, I don't know, it was just strange. It was before the whole Uhura speech about, masters and slaves and stuff
and
like that.
I guess when they were actually reasoning with the computer, it was just the captain and Spock with Uhura, because Bones and Sulu were being held hostage by
they were
the giant dinosaur.
Yeah, the two-headed dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two-headed dragon. And then I loved it when it did get resolved,
Right.
They were having a picnic
with the dragon.
The two-headed dragon, Alice from Alice in Wonderland, and the White Rabbit.
That's awesome.
And Bones, of course, was sarcastic as always.
Yeah, he and Spock like to throw the sarcastic insults at each other. All in all, it was a good episode. I really enjoyed it a lot. And yes, I say that about all the Star Trek animated episodes, and I will continue doing so until the end of time. The end.
You'll know one day if she really doesn't like an episode because she'll forget to say it.
Well, as you can see, I know we just kind of dove right into everything, but today's Wednesday, and we recorded an episode on Sunday and uploaded it this morning. And thank you for everyone who's watched it so far and commented. Y'all are awesome. But anyway, we're here again on a Wednesday evening. I know we were so much more chipper in the video that we posted this morning. And
y'all just thinking about it.
All right. We are going to try to get back on a schedule of filming on a weekend morning. It's just that, for the next couple of weeks we're going to be doing a little bit of both, probably, I'm sure. Yeah. But anyway, thank you for coming back and hanging out with us. And we watched the animated episode. And the next thing we want to dive into, it's kind of nice that we're doing this in the middle of the week, and talk about the new episode of Discovery that came out Sunday night.
Oh, yeah. So I commented and saw a few things on Facebook and Instagram and a few other things about the way the Klingons, excuse me, disposed of the captain of the Shinzu's body.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring this up, because when we watched the episode separately on Sunday night, and then we watched it again tonight together, and I did not realize when I was watching it Sunday night that the Klingons talked about eating the body of Captain Philippa Georgiou.
Smooth her skull was.
Right. That is insane.
Yeah, you should have seen her face. She was like, because I said something to her, and then, I know she believed me, but hearing the Klingon say it, she was like,
right.
Oh my God, is this really happening?
I have to have my notes. I have notes here. I have to make sure I hit all of my notes. Can I say the word notes again? Notes. The word is lost all meaning.
So, tartlet. Save yourselves! So we're going to warp backwards into the beginning of the episode. Since we're diving tonight, let's dive into something else head first.
Anyway, alright, so let's talk about Discovery. First, did you notice what the title of the episode was?
I forgot what it was.
The butcher's knife cares not for the lamb's cry.
Well, yeah, it has no feelings.
So who do you think they're talking about? Who is the butcher? Who's the lamb? And who's holding the knife?
I'll say the butcher.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Well, I mean, technically somebody else, like the butcher's son, could have come and picked up the butcher's knife. Somebody off the street could have ran in. But did you know that a lot of butchers wear high heels back in the old days?
Wait, what?
Maybe not like stilettos like we think of them, but they wore heels.
What was the reasoning behind this?
So they wouldn't get their shoes soaked in blood.
Where did you learn that?
I don't know, it might be, I heard it somewhere, and I don't know if it's right, but it sounded.
It sounded plausible.
It may have been under a Snapple top.
Could be.
I don't know.
Well, the butcher's knife cares not for the lamb's cry. That was I don't know, it was a very foreboding title to me. Which, of course, we all know by now that Star Trek Discovery is really unlike any other Star Trek series before it.
In so many ways. I mean, it carries the spirit, but it is so different.
Well, it's wartime, and we've seen bits and pieces of war, I feel like, in other series, but not like not really a war with the Klingons.
Yeah, and not really a war that of such. Now there was brutality and talk of brutality more than seeing the brutality in like DS9.
Mm-hmm.
The Maquis and all that, and then of course we heard a lot of things about the Bajorans and the Cardassians
that we necessarily didn't witness.
But like you said, it is with the Klingons, with a race we're familiar with,
Right.
But it shows like the war that we are I don't want to say used to, but can almost identify with, as far as Afghanistan, Iraq,
right.
The blood and gore part. It's more realistic in that sense, as far as like the captain, just the way the people act.
Well, since this whole new Star Trek series is set in a time of war, let's talk about the Captain Lorca.
He is very fit for war as far as captains go, I'd say.
Yeah, he even point blank said in the episode, "We are no longer a science vessel, this is a warship." So it's kind of disappointing to see, because you see the dynamic of he's going one way and some on the crew may not agree with it. So I don't know. That's going to be some interesting dynamics to work out later.
It is the engineer Stamets. Is that his name?
Stamets. Yeah.
Stamets. He that's basically what he told him. This is what I signed up for.
Right.
And he's like, tough titties. It is what it is. We're at war.
Right.
You don't like it, get off.
Yeah, this captain is definitely not here to explore strange new worlds.
No, he's not.
It's all about winning the war, which also makes me wonder. Like, I felt that he sought Michael out and made sure that she would end up on his ship. So what does it say about him that he sought her out?
Well, I mean, I think he's cunning. I think he's obviously a very strategic person, and he surely before, her name probably came up knowing what she did, but he obviously looked into her, and like we theorized before, he set the whole thing up. That's what what we think.
Right. Well, do you think he did it because he knew that she felt guilty about her actions basically starting the war, so he knew that he could manipulate her and convince her to do whatever it was necessary to help win the war?
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like he felt like he could manipulate her, or he wouldn't have even. I think he was very sure of himself in that.
Yeah, and there was one point where they were going onto the bridge and they were going through battle simulations, and he was being really hard on them. Like, we'll do better next time, and he's like, well, you couldn't do worse.
Right, and they were being polite to each other.
Right.
Basically, cut the crap, man.
Right. And then he even also, when they tried the jump and it failed, he piped the distress signal from Corvin 2 over the whole ship. Like, here, this is what these people are dying because you aren't helping me get there.
Oh yeah, I mean, a great motivator.
Yeah, his methods
some,
his methods might be questioned at times, but I do feel like he's going to grow on me.
Yeah, I think he's the kind that is feels like his actions, as far as war goes, the ends justify the means.
Right.
And
yeah, and he's
sometimes that's dangerous.
Right, and there's the backstory. There's got to be a backstory there, which I'm hoping we get soon. I like backstory.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'd like to know, where he came from and
his eyes. You remember the first episode? He was talking about how his eye, I guess it was the second episode, when she first met him, when they first when they first picked Michael up from the prison transport, or saved them from the prison transport and brought her on board. The first time she went into his ready room to meet him, he had the lights real dim, and he made some comment about it took him a while to adjust to light, and his eyes were kind of had that sparkly spore look to them.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I've forgotten about that. Yeah.
But whenever he's in his ready room, the lights are always very dim.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious that he was eating. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was trying to segue into something else. Anyway.
I just thought it was hilarious that he was eating when the Admiral came on and he didn't care. And she's like, oh, well, sorry, I caught you eating. It's all right. Felt like that customer service guy eating in my ear.
Right.
Poor Admiral.
She looks familiar. I gotta look that actress up. I feel like I've seen her in something else.
Yeah, she does look familiar.
Okay, so back with the Klingons. So, what do you think about the relationship between what do they call him? They call him the son of none, but his name is Vok.
Yeah, the torchbearer of Kalis.
Right, Vok and L'Rell. What do you think of them?
I think they have a fondness for each other. I thought it was a bit weird when they were standing over, when they were alone together,
Getting the dilithium chamber?
Getting the chamber out, and, there was a bit of a human moment,
Right.
Gazing across.
A moment of the heart.
Yeah.
Not just human moment.
Gazing across the engineering floor at each other.
Well, like we had mentioned before at the beginning of when we first started talking about Discovery, I did not realize that the Klingons were talking about eating the captain of the Shinzu. I totally missed that when I was reading the subtitles and they were talking about. She told him you had no outrage when we ate the captain, and that I saw you smile picking the meat from her smooth skull. When I was reading that and listening, I'm thinking they were picking or scavenging things off the ship because they had talked about it earlier. I wasn't actually thinking they ate the captain. So
you thought it was maybe a metaphor.
Right. But it makes sense because at the beginning of the episode he was talking about how his people were starving. And this was an enemy that had come onto their ship and had died on their ship, and they were starving.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
They were starving though, and we saw someone who we saw from the first episode, a Klingon from another faction or house, and
he just swooped in and took over.
He did. He came on, bowed down to
lip service.
Yeah, bowed down to him and apologized for being so disrespectful and all this. And
well, the only reason he came back was because Takuvma's ship was the only ship in the Klingon battle fleet that had cloaking technology. It's the only reason he came there, to get the ship that had the cloaking.
He did, and poor Vok I don't know. I don't know if he really knew that that's why he came. I think maybe he took him sincerely.
Yeah, he did.
Coming to on bended knee, and then him and L'Rell go over to the ship go over to the Shinzu,
Yeah. Well, at first, he didn't want to go get the dilithium from the wreck of the Federation ship. He was saying that it would be blasphemy to take the technology from that ship, the ship that killed Takuvma, and fuse it with theirs.
Yeah.
And she had to remind him, no, you have to fight for your people. You have to set aside what you want to do and do what's best for those around you.
Right. And then while they were over there getting it,
right.
He took over, and then it seemed that she had joined his side.
Yeah. But when they first came back from the ship and getting the dilithium chamber, and they walked onto the ship and all of his people were eating, and that's when he started talking about, how I gave them food and they willingly followed me, and you're nothing, you're the son of none. He was just being a real bully about everything. And while he was talking, Laurel was standing in the background, and she was realizing what was happening. Mm-hmm. And it was at that point she realized that she had to pretend she was going against him so that she would have time to steal the ship and get over there with him.
Yeah, because she physically put herself in between them, and then...
Well, yeah, he told her to kill him. And
yeah.
She was like, no, I have a better fate for him. Just let him go out and rot in the graveyard of the people who killed us.
Right.
I mean, it's really intense, but you could tell on her face that she was realizing it.
Right, and then in his little speech of, after she, or well, I can't remember if it was before or after, but it doesn't matter. He talks about how once they defeat the Federation, they're gonna, split up again.
Right.
They're not gonna be united, and the houses will break off again. And I just think that's, I don't know, that's disheartening. I mean, I know that obviously doesn't happen.
Right.
There's power struggle for eons, but
right.
Still.
Centuries after that, there's still issues. It's going to be interesting to see how they make the transition from these Klingons into what they've become now. Because I really feel like they're going to address that at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to, I feel like.
Yeah, and I'm excited about seeing the matriarchs of the Klingon Society.
The House of Mokai. That's who she was going to take him to, which is the people, her mother's people, mm-hmm. The house of her mother. And it was also interesting because she was telling him that it was going to cost him everything. It came at a price that would cost him everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if it has something to do with changing his appearance. Because he is of the appearance that is shunned in the Klingons.
Yeah.
Well, among the Klingons.
I'm wondering that too. I don't know. When they say everything, he has no house name.
Right.
So, and then that's big for them. So what, short of his honor and cosmetically changing him, what else?
What else can you do?
What else could he give up,
It's going to be interesting to see, that's for sure.
It is.
Okay, so what do you think of the tardigrade now that we're back on Discovery?
Well, I think he's kind of cute. I really got irritated when her name escapes me.
Security.
Yeah, she came on and was acting like Little Miss Badass, and
yeah, that didn't get her very far.
Yeah, and Michael kept trying to tell her, explain to her, look, we need to find out what this creature is all about before we just start, clipping nails and extracting poison, trying to find,
right.
where to use.
Well, he was, when Captain Lorca first took her in there and showed her that he had this creature on the ship, he was like, I want you to find out what made it kill all those Klingons, and I want you to take it and weaponize it. So, from the get-go, he told her, I want you to take this creature and weaponize it.
Yeah, and he assumed that the creature had entered, because he said, I want to know what can scratch the outer hull of a ship.
Right. But he was looking at the creature as being a predator, and it's not. It was a very, as Michael learned, it's a very passive species. It goes out and it eats and it hunts, and that's it.
It only attacks when it's threatened, when it feels threatened.
Right. But, through the experiments that her watching it and seeing it and different things like that, she was able to figure out that it needed the spores and that it was the supercomputer that powered the spore drive.
Yeah, and it was so sad to watch it, you know, because
Right.
you knew as soon as they put it in that chamber, I mean, and then those things clamped to it. I mean,
Yeah, and one thing of note, when they finally realized all this and they put the creature in there and they jumped to Corvin 2, and then they destroyed 2 of the ships and then warped away and then came back and had the other 2 crash into each other. At the end of it all, once all the Klingon ships were destroyed, it was showing faces. It was showing the miners down on the ground. It was showing Captain Lorca and all of his officers. Everybody had these looks of relief. Some were smiling. And then it goes to Michael, and she's just standing there looking at this creature like, we have just caused it great pain, great harm, something bad by using it in this way.
I'm curious to know if, you know, because in Enterprise, they were sort of forming the Prime Directive, you know, kind of figuring it out,
Right.
you know, as far as first contact and stuff like that. And what do they have? Do they have that yet in Discovery? You know, because
I don't know. I
because
need
it's in
to
between,
research that.
because it's obviously a sentient being,
Right.
you know, because it can navigate like this. Why would it not be considered?
Well, like she explained it, it works it has a symbiotic relationship with the spores.
Right.
And so once it activates with it, it's all of the star charts inside its head. And because it can communicate with the spores, that's what allows the ship to be able to go so quickly from point to point.
Right. But for something that sophisticated,
Right.
how can
It not be sentient.
exactly? I mean, that's my opinion.
Exactly.
And how can I'd be interested to know, you know, the logistics of the Starfleet code, and if those are thrown out the window during wartime. You know, that could
Right,
be the
like-
case.
It was like if there was a Prime Directive, what was in it?
Yeah.
Because, you know, there was no checks, there was no people in the background saying, oh, we need to follow, this is against the Prime Directive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Michael is clearly uncomfortable with the situation and she doesn't agree with it, but she's not speaking out saying, well, this goes against the Prime Directive.
Right, and you know, they're the only ones that know that on the ship that know that this is going on. I
Right.
mean, the people back at Starfleet headquarters,
The Admiral.
yeah, they're not privy to the ins and outs. They just, well, like that Admiral, her main concern, she made no mention of the people at the facility. All she mentioned was the dilithium.
Right.
You know, protecting that dilithium. That's our biggest dilithium.
Yeah. And she didn't seem to, she wasn't talking about how they got there. She just wanted to know, are you able to jump now? Is it ready?
Yeah.
You know, so but we'll probably find out more about it as the story progresses. But, it's so fun to speculate.
It really is. I just, but that Prime Directive thing, I really am interested.
Yeah,
to
we'll have to
know
make a
what-
note. We'll talk about the Prime Directive next time. That's an interesting subject.
Yeah, and you know, they may be just developing, you know, they may not
Yeah.
even know yet what.
Who knows, some of the events of what they learn in this war with the Klingons may help form some of those things in the Prime Directive that we know to be in there centuries later.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely excited for the next one. I saw that Rainn Wilson is going to be in
Yes.
the next episode as Harry Mudd.
And I did see coming up, we're going to see Harry Mudd for the first time coming up in an animated series soon.
Okay, that'll be very cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like coinciding right around the same time.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to see Rainn Wilson in Star Trek. He was one of my favorites on The Office. So.
Oh yeah, funny. Dwight.
Beat farmer.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
That's awesome. But yeah, okay, so Discovery was awesome. I can't wait for next time. And if y'all have anything that you've noticed in Discovery that we haven't talked about, comment below and let us know and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, because I know that there's just so much.
There is.
You know, and I feel like there's a lot of foreshadowing and I really want to catch it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I went back and started watching Discovery Season 1, Episode 1 today. So I really feel like that as I'm rewatching it, I'm going to start taking notes so that way I don't forget. Because a lot of times I'll watch something and notice something and then don't write it down and forget to talk about it later.
Right.
It's so annoying.
Right.
So have you been playing Timelines any?
I have. I have been playing Timelines.
Did you get to Kuvma the other night?
No,
He's supposed to be in the event that's coming up. I think you get another chance to get him.
What kind of event is it going to be? Excuse me. Shuttle mission event? Have you looked into it, or is it going to be building? It probably won't be building things again.
Yeah, they don't ever tell that. It just tells the rewards, so we won't know. I think it starts in like 11 hours, something like that.
Oh, okay. I did buy a boost pack though for 70 dilithium that gives me, lets me spend 25% less on of chronotons on every mission, away mission, and then it also gives me a boost of XP and credits every time I do one, which is pretty cool. And it does it for 24 hours, and it gives you a little countdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check into that because I've never seen that. One of the interesting things to me that I've been doing is I've been doing voyages. Sending them out, calling them back. Sending them out, calling them back.
Yeah.
But the main thing that I'm struggling for right now are training hologram programs.
Oh, okay.
Because once you get up into the higher levels, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, it takes so many to get from like 70 to 80. It's insane.
It
takes more. It takes more of the training modules to actually get you from one point to the next.
It does, because I'm at 98 with Dr. Crusher. I'm still trying to get her up, but from 90 to 98, I know I've used almost over 50. I know probably 75 or so of the highest.
Yeah, the 5-star ones.
Dynamic training, and still, oh my God, I mean, it just.
Yep. But you know, it just gets slower as you get up those. So I'm just trying to go down to like my 40s and 50s and try to get up to 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
All that.
Spread the love.
Yeah, I went through my whole character list last night. Oh, don't want you. I was trying to get honor points so I can go buy more training modules.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly.
Because if you have 1,500 honor points, you can get 50.
Yeah.
50 of the
And
5.
you know, also, you do, and you know that you can get them through doing the faction missions. You know.
Right. And I don't know why I haven't been doing the faction missions. I need to start back doing
I love doing the faction missions. That's what I do every night before I go to bed. I put on a faction mission, and then I'll put on a reward boost.
To make it like 9 hours?
Yeah, and that way it does it while I'm sleeping and I don't miss anything.
Yeah, I need to start doing that. Do you want to do an ending on here now?
And
just kidding. Bye.
Like, share, comment, share, share, share. Everybody loves to share. Some people don't like share. Do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside my chest. Alright, thank you if you made it through all of this.
Yeah, we found out that we enjoy filming in the mornings so much better because we're so tired and
look at our long faces.
It's just been a long day and we don't feel like we're being entertaining enough.
Yes.
So if you sat here and watched this, you're a saint.
Yeah, you really are. If you liked it,
share
it. Don't be shy.
Because you never know, you might have people on your friends list who are Trekkies that are in the closet. Closeted Trekkies, and you might can share this and they'll enjoy it.
I used to be a closeted Trekkie, but I came bursting out. Alright, we'll see you next time, and hopefully, what?
I was going to tell them to have a good week, that's all.
Kara says have a good week, y'all.
Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.